It'd be nice if I unmute myself, right? Wa alaikum assalam to Welcome. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Alhamdulillah. We're back live again. Alhamdulillah. It's a Thursday night, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Hope everyone is having a good week or had a good week. And even if you didn't, say Alhamdulillah. I'll open up. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa salama tasliman. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salamu ala ibadihi alladhina istafa. Amma ba'd. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May Allah bless our master, Sayyidina Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, companions, and give him peace. All praises are due to Allah, for he is sufficient for us. Peace be upon his slaves, whom he has chosen. As to what follows, Alhamdulillah, had to give Allah his rights, the Prophet ﷺ his rights, mashallah. And I thank you for joining us this evening. Alhamdulillah, I am grateful. We are very blessed to be sitting here. Since last week, some of us didn't make it. So say Alhamdulillah with all your heart, because this same time next week, we may not see each other again. So don't take any time for granted. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take any interactions for granted, because that may be the last time that you may come across somebody's path. It may be the last time that you could say, I love you, or I miss you, or I'm sorry, just to apologize. You understand? So please don't take nothing for granted, not even your health, your wealth, everything, because Allah promised us that he'll test us with our lives. He'll test us with our families. He said he'll test us with, everything, So just say Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, and be patient when, when it's difficult, because it's not going to be easy. Like I remind myself, when things are so easy, I'm like, okay, what's coming up? Because I know something's going to come up. And I hope, because, Allah tests whom he loves. I'm like, all right, everything is, it's chill. Then you be like, oh, okay, something about to come up. Let me get, may Allah make it, brace me for it. Not take it away so much, but allow me to be able to deal with, what it is about to come. Let me change our background, because this is not the show. This is the show. That was for your class, Habibi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you? It's been a minute.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, literally a minute. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Alhamdulillah, shukran for joining us. Alhamdulillah. Go ahead, Habibi. I'm here.
Nah. I just opened up. Now you give some words of encouragement, introduction.
Who you talking to, man? Like you're not the boss of me, like our kids say. Alhamdulillah. Now we thank you all for joining us. Share this feed, share this thread, inshallah. Let the people know that we are here. I'm just going to jump right into it. Alhamdulillah. Lately, a lot of people, when I say people, I'm specifically referring to Black people or African Americans, even though what I'm saying is not restricted to them. It also applies to Black brothers and sisters from the UK, as well as the Caribbean and elsewhere in the diaspora. But a lot of people are talking about repatriating or going back to Africa for many different reasons. Like 2019 was branded the year of return. And what that was about was they picked the year 1619, even though, I don't necessarily agree with that. A lot of historians don't necessarily agree with that. But they say, okay, this 1619 was the first year that, Africans were brought here in bondage, or that came here. So they said 400 years from that day, obviously, is 2019. So they had this big campaign, the year of return. And a lot of people visited Ghana last year. You have to mute your milk microphone.
Sorry, Habibi.
A lot of people went to Ghana last year. If you remember, there were a lot of famous people, a lot of athletes and actors who, went to Ghana, visited. Some of them were made kings, and, there was a lot of ceremony behind it. That was all like basically marketing from Ghana, the tourism industry. And so, from one respect, a lot of people have been talking about going back to Africa, or Ghana specifically, and so that's from one respect. And then from another respect, because of the violence and other forms of oppression, state-sponsored oppression, that's been handed out regularly, consistent, nonstop, since we got here, of Black people. A lot of people are now, and have been for a long time, but it reached a high pitch this year. As they say, more people are woke, but a lot of people are talking about getting out of here, because it's not safe here. Any one of us can be killed at any minute. And not only could any one of us be killed at any minute, the ones who did it, it's highly probable that they will not be punished for it. So a lot of people are talking about, going back home or going back to Africa because of that. And especially since, George Floyd's murder, his lynching, a lot of people have been talking about that. So that's from one respect. From another respect, or another aspect, a lot of Muslims have been talking about going back to Africa, not recently, but for a long time. Like, we know a lot of people who are not only talking about going back to Africa, but have been back to Africa, have been living in Africa for a short and a long time. Because a lot of people, number one, because a lot of times a lot of us have been tricked into believing that Islam is synonymous with being Arab. And if you want to make hijrah to a so-called Islamic land, you go to one of the Arab lands. A lot of us are waking up from that, from that myth, or that, that falsehood. And they are realizing what some of us have realized for a long time. And that is, the bulk of Africa is Muslim. Like, if you take out, like, and I think the first time I heard someone express it this way was like back in the mid 90s, where they said, if you take out the Muslim population of Africa, like, if how when you look at, population maps, and, they have one color for one population and another color for another population. If you took out a religious map and they say, like, say, for example, green for Islam, what have you. And if you just took that out of Africa, you wouldn't have Africa. It wouldn't be no African continent without Islam or Muslims there. So a lot of Muslims are becoming cognizant of the fact that there are a lot of Muslims and Islam in Africa. And you do not have to necessarily put up with the outer brand of racism that you get when you go to some of these Arab countries, you know, and there is racism there, even in Mecca and Medina, you know. You don't have to put up with the subcontinent brand of racism if you choose to go there. Not saying that Africa doesn't have any problems. Every place has problems, right? So I don't want, a lot of times when you talk, people think in absolutes. So if you talk good about one thing, they pretend as if you're saying there's nothing bad about that thing. Or if you talk bad about something else, they pretend as if you're saying there's nothing good about that thing that you're speaking bad about. And that's not true. But in any case, so a lot of people are becoming or have become aware of Islam in Africa, and how hey, I can go to Africa. So, and historically, there are a lot of people who have went, lived, raised families. There are African Americans who have second and third generations who of families who have been brought up and raised in Africa, particularly places like Senegal, Ghana, and other places. And that's just West Africa. We're not even speaking about, East Africa like Sudan or Ethiopia or places like that. So a lot of people are talking about that. So you have, like I'm on YouTube, so, and I'm always, just like we have the Facebook thread and how a lot of, we go down our timeline on Facebook. I do that sometimes on YouTube. Not only the channels that I'm subscribed to, but also the channels that I'm not subscribed to. I just go down and see what people are talking about. And because I look at those pages, just like on Facebook or any other social media, if you click on a type of video, when you go to your timeline, they're going to suggest or recommend similar types of videos as the one you watched on, that you clicked on before. So on YouTube, I'm always coming across these videos from people's channel who are American, but they decided to go to Africa. And, they're telling their stories, on oh, you disappeared. Now mute your. Don't come back in here all noisy. You just mute yourself, right? So anyway, so I'm always stumbling across these channels where people are telling their story and showing, how it is in Africa, what their particular journey was, and there are a lot of Muslims and a lot of non-Muslims, mostly non-Muslims from what I'm seeing, that are, actively trying to go back to Africa, if not to visit it, even to live. And so we wanted to talk about that because it's extremely relevant to our situation, regardless if you yourself want to go or not. A lot of times, there's some people who, they're so dogmatically against going back to Africa for themselves, they condemn someone else for wanting to go back to Africa for their own particular reasons, So alhamdulillah, that's my opening statement, Habib. So now you can unmute yourself.
Alhamdulillah. I wanted to mention, and I need you to remind me because I can't recall right now. I'm unmuting you. The speech that our brother El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, Rahimullah, when he mentioned about the house Negro and the field Negro. What was that speech?
That speech was Message to the Grassroots.
Okay, got you. Thank you for that. I'm a poet. I'm going to put you on mute. Just to add to what you're saying about people condemning others to want to return to Africa, he had a response to that, and I just wanted to read this excerpt from that speech. In that speech, Message to the Grassroots, he said, if someone comes to you right now and says, let's separate, you say the same, let's comes to you and say, let's separate. You say the same thing that the house Negro said on the plantation. They said, what you mean, separate from America? This good white man? Where you going to get a better job than you get here? I mean, this is what you say. I ain't left nothing in Africa. That's what you say. Why you left your mind in Africa. So some of us got a distaste for going back. Their position is, I don't have nothing there. Your ancestors came here. This is where this is where my history starts. When my ancestors were forced on this land and we built on this land. So that's to the extent where it came from, where they go. So when you say go back to Africa, go back home, some people argue, I don't know where home is. I don't know what country I belong to. I don't know what language, my original language. I don't even, I don't know anything. So what is it that I'm going back to? So like you saying, people like, just like, rigid and like black and white. Sometimes to get back to something, you take hold of something that's close to it. So just going back to Africa, to whatever country in Africa, you're on your way. Allah may open up, who you belong to once you get over there. So don't just discount it and make an excuse. I don't know anything. My language was cut off. Everything was cut off from there. I don't have anything there. You do. It's time for you to find it. Now, that's not meant for everybody to go back over there. Okay? This is not meant. You know what I mean? The same situation that you find yourself in here in America, if you full of fitna, guess what? That's going to follow you wherever, no matter where you are in the world. If you try,
I got a bone to pick with you.
What?
I got a bone. I know I'm interrupting you, but I got a bone to pick with you because in our household, Al Hajj Malik Shabazz Malcolm X Rahimahullah, he holds a high. He's valued greatly here. And
Okay.
you was reading that portion of the speech like you was illiterate or something. What's your problem?
Leave me alone.
With the same type of feel and everything. That was disgraceful.
Leave me alone. I can't do it like him.
I mean, none of us can do it like him,
brother. Why you pointing out my illiteracies and stuff? Okay, my idiotics and stuff.
That was cringeworthy listening to you read that because in my mind, I'm hearing him say it.
Well, you say it. You say it. You say it. You want to point out my faults? Correct me, brother. Well, how you saying it, brother?
Alhamdulillah. I'm going to mute.
No, alhamdulillah.
Do that again.
Listen, you see him? Oh, y'all know we be having it. We have it going on off the show. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get him. But anyway, the same type of person that you are, wherever you are, and you're not trying to change, all you're gonna do is bring that stuff to wherever you're going. So before you go, or even thinking about it, because that's like the Imam said, a lot of people are thinking about repatriating, meaning going back to your original country and things. You should do some research before you go. Part of that research is to go visit. Don't just take everything, pack up, and take off, because you're going to be highly disappointed. Because we have this, yes, right, leave her alone. Thank you, sis. We have romanticized what it is to go back there. Before, when we were younger, what was on TV about Africa and things like that? You will think, what images? Right, what were the images? Right, Tarzan, jungle, no city life, no buildings, huts, and all types of primitive type of activities. That's what you thought Africa was about. It was so bad, and I'm not even going to not deny this. Growing up, I thought and this is, yes, I'm a product of the public school system, mashallah. I thought that Egypt was separate, wasn't even part of Africa. I thought that was a country on its own. If somebody were to tell me about Egypt, I would have thought that that was nowhere near Africa. And I know a lot of people would admit to that if they're willing to admit to that. It wasn't until later that I found out that was part of Africa, northeast of the country, its location. And so when
Continent.
you, well,
Continent.
the continent, African continent, you gonna sit here and correct me every 5 minutes? I'm gonna just be quiet. You gonna
Okay.
sit there like,
Okay, fine. Be quiet. Anyway,
you know, he cutting out. He cutting out. Let me get to my point. Let me
okay,
get to
we'll
my
get to your
point.
point. Hurry up.
You know what? He's showing up. He's showing up. He's showing up. But anyway, so you need to do some research. Wherever you're going to be going, where you thinking about living, you need to visit. Not for a few days. You need to go for like a month, 2 months at a time. You need to plan that out. And tickets are not cheap. So wherever you're trying to go, like especially right now, it is like it's a serious investment that you're going to be putting in, because when you go there, you shouldn't be going there with the mindset of a vacation. You have to go there with the mindset that I'm going to establish myself wherever that you're trying to go to. You're going to be looking out for certain things. So you're going to pay attention to certain things that would allow you to have some type of stability. And if you know offhand what type of place you're going to, that's kind of going to answer some of the questions that you have, like the cost of living. Basically, the cost of living, especially like in Gambia, Senegal, that area, it's a low cost of living. But I've heard like places like Ghana, and I forgot some other places. It's like you living here in America, but you just happen to be over there. So you have to figure that out, because your dollars will translate. Well, the currency will basically, the value of it will either go down or be equal, or if it'll be high. Now, if you translate, your changing your dollar, your US dollars to euros, of course, the euro has a higher value. So you have to think about that. So you look at your money situation. Before you go, what are you leaving back at home in the US that is not going to be any issue while you're going? Some of us, pay rent. Yes, ma'am.
No, you got people commenting and stuff.
I can't
I
see
like
over
to
here.
engage with them a little bit.
I'm looking
How you
on
supposed
this.
to run into
I'm
something
looking
you can't
over here.
see?
So if there's any comments,
Anyway, one of the brothers asked, "How was it when I first touched down in Ghana?" I never touched down in Ghana. I never been to Ghana. When I mentioned Ghana, I was talking about the campaign that they had last year, and how a lot of African Americans and other people from the diaspora went to Ghana. I wasn't one of them. The first country I ever been to in Africa was Sudan, and that was an amazing feeling. SubhanAllah. Number one, uh, I was sleeping on the flight before we landed, so I was already kind of out of it. So just imagine being kind of how you are when you first wake up. Now you exit in the plane, and I'm in the airport in Khartoum, that's in Sudan, the capital of Sudan, and I get out, and the first thing I notice is that there's all these flowers all over the place. I remember that, like flowers. They actually took time to have like real flowers all over the place. And I'm like, wow. It wasn't like, raggedy JFK or one of the airports, the larger airports we're used to here. And so And then when we go through, I guess their version of customs or the TSA, where they screen your luggage and stuff, it was nothing but dark-skinned sisters with overgarments and kimars on. At the time, it was a military state, so they got they bars, they military credentials on them. And I'm like, Subhanallah, like dark skin African sisters with overgarments, keyboards on. And, I was like, Salam alaikum. They're like, wa alaikum salam, rahmatullah. I was like, Allah, I'm home. This is a Muslim country. Allah, like, I'm home. Allah, like, right? So I'm kind of like answering your question because, how I felt when I first went there. Now, a lot of people always talk about, kissing the ground and all that kind of stuff. I think I did that, but I don't remember that. I don't know if that's my imagination, something I wanted to do, or if I actually did it. I don't know, but that's how I felt, when I first touched down there. And yeah, we when we came to Sudan, we had a long layover in Egypt, but we didn't leave the airport, so I really don't count that. So, alhamdulillah. Okay, you can go back to your football, Habibi.
You gonna get it after this show, y'all. I'm like, y'all know right now. Right now. He cutting up. Big time, y'all. Oh, I'm gonna get you now. I'll get you. But anyway, I'm just trying to, go fast with this because because we want to do this show over a period of time. I didn't want to just throw everything in here. I told them that. I want us to give a piece, piece by piece, especially for those who are thinking about it, because there's things to think about before you even actually go and consider, because it's not for everybody. Okay. So you got to look at your money situation. Then you got to think about, like I said, what are you leaving at, back at home?
On that money situation, right? What you got your head all twisted for?
Go ahead, get your kubar.
That's the kubar for tomorrow. The money situation. A lot of people always ask, and I hear this a lot, not just from Muslim, but just people, period. Whenever they talk to Americans who spend time in Africa or who have already repatriated back to Africa, I always hear this question: what kind of jobs is over there? And the people that's over there, they have to explain, if your mind is come from America over there with job, you don't need to go to Africa, because most of the economies in Africa is broken, right? And I think this is a very important point, because I'm coming to realize that Africa is just like a big hood. When I mean hood, like Malcolm said one time, he said, we don't want to be integrated with the white man. We don't want to be segregated by the white man. We want to be separated from the white man, right? So he mentioned three concepts that a lot of us 55 years later still haven't got clarity on. He talked about the issues of the day, which was integration, segregation, and separation, right? The hood is a segregated entity, meaning that Black people live in certain concentrated areas around the country, but they don't control anything in their neighborhoods. They live there, they're populated there, but it's almost like a zoo. It's controlled by someone else. And so if you understand what it's like to live in a hood, just because all you see is us there, but you understand that the businesses, the police, the infrastructure and everything needed to maintain and sustain that community is being controlled and regulated from outside, then you'll be able to understand Africa. When I say that Africa is like one big hood, because yes, you're in Africa, but the same way that the cities and the state and the federal government control us here in the hood, our neighborhoods, it's the same way with Africa. These African countries are being controlled by European countries. And the African leaders and governments and infrastructure that you see, for the most part, just like puppets. And so, in the same way in the hood, when you go to a store and you see somebody running that store that don't look like you're going to see the same thing in Africa. And it's on and on and on and on. So, in the same way that if anybody wants a good job, he's not going to get it in the hood. He has to go downtown. He has to travel if he wants a good job. Only type of job that you can get in the hood is the underground economy, right? And we know what that is. Likewise, if you talk about going back to Africa, you have to have in your mind that you're going to a gigantic hood. You're not going to get a job there. You have to come there with an entrepreneurial business type of mindset. What makes you think that the few jobs that they do have there that you may even be qualified for, right? Maybe you have a skill or a trade. What makes you think that they're going to skip over their own people and give you a job? So you have to have your own, you gotta think out the box. You can't think job. And so I just wanted to add that major footnote because you were talking about have your money right and all that kind of stuff. Because the people that want to go back, the main reasons why a lot of them end up coming back is because they didn't factor this into their mind. They stacked up some money, they have a skill or a trade, and they think they're going to go to Africa and get a job in their field. And a lot of times that don't happen. The people there don't even have jobs. So what makes you think that you're going to have a job going there? So I just want to add that, alhamdulillah. Proceed, Happy.
Thank you for that piece. So back to what I was saying. I'm not even in Africa. You just jumping across the water to over there. We're talking about here because I have a lot of people are thinking about it. They have to prepare themselves. Even right now during this pandemic, you have to do some research. One thing that is helpful for anything that you're trying to get in is networking. You have to network. You got to know somebody that's already over there, that knows the culture, that knows the language. Imagine going somewhere and you don't know the language, you don't know the culture. You're going to end up offending someone. You're going to end up being cheated. You're going to end up being in situations that could have been avoided if you had done your research. Network. There's a lot of Africans here that's from the motherland. I'm talking about some that just came here, right here in the United States, along the East Coast. I'm not sure about the West Coast, but especially down south, concentrating in New York, there's some, pockets of different Africans from different countries, from the continent that are right here that you can, network with. Like, for instance, a lot of them send things over back home. They ship it, right? It's a whole big secret about how do you ship things over there without getting hustled and having to pay so much money. There's a network that goes on. Somebody knows somebody else and they get the hookup and they get their little container, pack it up and send it over there. But it seems like it's a big old secret about how to send stuff over there without, being charged an arm and a leg. I would love that information. And if anybody is on this thread that's listening or knowing someone that can give me that info, I would love that info. I've always been trying to search how do you, send things over there without being charged an arm and a leg. Like, I know the process. Like, I can get a container to my house, fill it up, have a truck picked up. But that's like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You understand? And we were to network. We're able to come together and do like a co-op. And a co-op, what I mean is there may be other families that may want to send stuff over, not necessarily want to go over there, but they may want to be able to send stuff over there if they like, and know that there's options for that. So that seemed like a big secret, but we're going to talk about that. But if y'all know anyone, reach out to me because I would love to know that information, because sometimes you want to be able to know how do you ship things over there as well as ship things back over here, to sell. You want to know how to, to do business that way, because there are people that are doing that. but they're not giving out the secrets. I want to know what the secret is because I want to know the tea because I'm gonna spread it. Once I get knowledge, I want to help others to be able to, get that knowledge and be able to take advantage of that because it seems like it's a disconnect and you got to go through hoops, to find out things. Go ahead. What?
What you say is another example of what I was just talking about before, how it's like the hood. You know how like in the hood, right? There's always a spot where, you get your inspection for your car, right? right, right. People ain't just going to just tell you, right? And sometimes we so hood that we'll get a car straight off the lot and won't get it inspected properly, right? We still want to go to the hookup. Like, why you gonna pay that? Just go to any car inspection. Nah, I don't know about all that. I just going over here where I've been going. Your car is brand new, 2020. Why you doing all that? Nah, I don't know about them. I'm just gonna go over here, right? But it's kind of like the same mentality, right? With the hookup. I mean, you talking about containers and stuff. It is people discuss it almost like it's illegal. Like, oh, like I know someone, but right? Like, hey, we ain't talking about selling drugs and nothing. It's not illegal, man. Just let me know, right? But
So, networking, that would help. Learning the language if you can, but if not, you need to be open to learn and just be observant. Don't go as a tourist. Go as someone like you're going to plant your feet and that's where you're going to be and looking for all the opportunities. Like he said, it's a entrepreneur's dream. You can make any business over there if you put your mind to it and if you have the money and the funds. If you are that type of person that can make things happen, you're gonna love it there because you're gonna see so many voids that need to be filled that it's limitless regarding that. Okay, so the money situation, making sure that home is taken care of first. If you're going to leave and if you are renting your home, you want to make sure your rent is paid up or whatever. You may have to move out and store your items until you get back. So these are things that we need to consider before going over there. Like I said, it's not for everybody. And then once you decide that's what you're going to do, make make lots of dua, makes lots of dua that Allah protect you because who says you're going to make it over there? That's a long plane ride. You crossing the Atlantic Ocean for like hours. Sometimes if you have like a direct flight, how many hours is over there? Like 10 hours over that water, nine, one shot?
a little bit less than that.
Okay.
You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Most of the countries on the African continent don't have too many direct flights from the United States. There are some, but not like you would think. I mean, just think about it. Just go to any tourist website, or if you have AAA, look at your advertisements. International tours. Africa ain't high on the list, but to some Europeans, African, that different African countries is a tourist hotspot. And I'm saying not to say that if, for example, there are some direct flights from, I know, New York and Atlanta to Senegal, right? Not too many, but enough direct flights. And it's about the same flight time as if you were going to London. It's about the same flight time, 8-9 hours, something like that, right? It's about the same flight time. Now, I don't know about since during this COVID period, but if you search hard enough or whatever like that, you might get a round trip ticket to London. There's three airports in London, right? You might get, come up on a airline ticket for $400, $500 real easy, round trip and up, right? Round to London. You ain't going to get that same price on a ticket to Senegal. No, you paying a stack at least. Why? Same flight time, basically, nonstop. Add to it the fact that most most of the places don't have direct flights, and you got to get a layover somewhere. So basically, to get to most countries in Africa, it's going to cost you twice as much as it would flying with the same amount of flight time to any other European country. Twice or three times as much or more. So I think from my experience, every time I've went to Africa, the most costly thing is the airline ticket itself, not what I'm going to spend while I'm there. Literally, right? if the money I spend on a one round trip ticket, I don't spend that much while I'm there for a month and living like a king while I'm there. So the major hurdle, I just stumbled across a YouTube channel yesterday where this couple is from Jamaica and they're trying to get to Gambia, and they're preparing, and they were trying to sell their car so they can get their airline tickets to go to Gambia. So you gotta sell your car. They get to Gambia, right? So subhanallah. So it's the airline issue, and I can't prove it, but I'm of the firm opinion that whenever prices like that between two destinations, between point A and point B, is so high and it's done like that, I believe it's done purposely because they're trying to keep certain people disconnected. I'll give you a local example of what I'm talking about. Like around 2003, 2004-ish, the first time I moved to Pittsburgh, where we are right now, they had direct flights between Philly and Pittsburgh, same state, right? You're in the air less than 45 minutes. And they had Southwest Airlines was one of the airlines. And you can get a one-way ticket, between Pittsburgh and Philly, depending on how far in advance you bought the ticket, for like $50, sometimes $60, one way. And they have 4 or 5 flights going in each direction every day. So some people was commuting. Some people was living in Pittsburgh, working in Philly, vice versa, right? They stopped that for what they got excuses for it. Oh, there's not a hub here in this airport anymore, so we moved it, whatever, such, whatever, right? So if you want to fly between Pittsburgh and Philly directly, you're gonna have to pay several $100s. And even if because driving from Pittsburgh to Philly is like 5 hours, but even if you took a flight that had a layover in Chicago, for example, and then you spending 10 hours in the air or 10 hours traveling between Philly and Pittsburgh, it's still going to cost you $100 plus or even more. I believe that for some reason, the authorities in Pennsylvania don't want Philly connected with Pittsburgh. That's just you can call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever. Okay, whatever, right? I believe that. In the same way that I believe that the people don't want Africans in the diaspora connected with Africa. People that travel a lot know that the flights, the airfare between here or anywhere, for the most part, and any place where there's a lot of Africans in the diaspora, the airfare from that place to Africa is very expensive. And most of us can't afford that kind of stuff. And I believe it's done like that on purpose. That's just my opinion. No, I don't have no empirical data. No, I haven't read a survey. No, I didn't hear some government official state that on the record. No, that's just what I believe. They don't want us to be connected. And so the airfare is something that you are going to have to take into serious consideration. The cost of travel. Round trip. And don't think that if you don't fly enough, you probably think that, well, if I get a one-way ticket, the one-way ticket must be half the price of a round trip ticket. No, it don't work like that. that one-way ticket is not too much cheaper than a round-trip ticket. It's at least three-quarters the price of a round-trip ticket. And so, and if you get the type of ticket where you can change the date without paying fees and all those type of things, they drive the price of the ticket up. You get those restricted tickets, economy class, you got to go on this date or you lose it, all that. Those be the cheaper tickets. And then you have to go through a lot of different search engines, a lot of different travel apps, and all of that kind of stuff in order to get the cheapest price. And airline tickets, they fluctuate. They fluctuate. Sometimes they fluctuate from minute to minute. Sometimes you could be looking at a flight and be like, I don't know if I want it or not. And then you go to another website, use another app, you come back literally a few minutes later, and the ticket you were just looking at went up by $1,000. So all of these variables you have to take into consideration. So if you're trying to visit or go back and you're looking for a ticket, you got to do a lot of planning in advance, and you have to pay attention to how the flights are going up and going down. Most places have certain days that if you fly to them on that certain day, the price is usually cheaper than the other day. Me, literally, when I'm planning on flying, I get out a notebook and I search all these different search engines, different airports I can leave from and all that kind of stuff. And I write everything down and I start comparing it between the days. I say, okay, it's cheaper on this day. All right. And so I do that a lot. It's like, how can you say? They make it so difficult. It ain't like I said, it's not like flying to London or France or one of these popular European spots where there's always a low price and the prices are pretty much stable. They're not fluctuating all over the place. For the most part, it's not like that in Africa. And I'm talking about East or West Africa. I don't know too much about South Africa because South Africa is also a popular tourist destination. So I don't know too much about that. But for most African countries, this is the situation with regards to flying. It's very costly for us. So if you're trying to make that move, don't make it a last minute thing. Save your money. Keep putting a little bit of money away until you're ready to fly. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah. My wife is making salat, so when she comes back, then I will go and pray, inshallah. Also, another thing you have to think about, traveling, got to get your passport. And a lot of us have impediments of getting our passport. Some people owe child support. And so, we got to start thinking, we got to start playing chess and not checkers. So if you entangled in that child support kind of stuff, you need to think about that before you decide not to pay, right? Because some people have reasons that they justify not paying their child support to the state. I know some people that pay child support directly to the mother, but they refuse to pay it to the state. And because of that, it messes up their driver's license and which then messes up your passport and all that kind of stuff. So if this is your situation, or it could be your situation, you need to think about that. Because if you don't have no passport, you ain't going nowhere. And again, that's why it's also important to very scrutinize who you marry. A lot of us just get married just to get married because, she looked good and all that kind of stuff. You better think about that. You may pay in the future. I know a lot of us don't think too far ahead in our future, but who you marry today could prevent you from leaving tomorrow. So you need to think about that. Okay, yeah, get on the screen with your crooked chemo and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we see you. You shouldn't have put the camera back on. Your crooked, it's still crooked. You can't it's still crooked. This is a camera, not a mirror, Habibi. Allahu Akbar. I talked. I think I exhausted what I needed to say with regards to the ticket, and I started talking about passports and stuff like that. So I'm gonna log off and go pray, inshallah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. The hijab, what they call it? A hijab malfunction. Yeah, so we discussed about the ticket. And yes, you definitely have to get your passport. Yeah, the man was talking about, if you got any child support issues or what have you, get that passport. You can't even travel in the United States without it. If you don't get that real ID that they came out with a couple years ago, they done extended it. I think till next year, 2021. I forgot what month, but you're not going to be able to, get on any planes or any government buildings without that real ID if you've seen that advertised. Now, with that, it is your driver's license, but you don't have to get that if you have a passport. So you have a choice. They make it look like you don't have a choice, but you do have a choice. So if you have a passport, you're able to enter buildings, government buildings with your passport. So be mindful. It's not just traveling outside the United States. It just, you won't be able to be allowed to go any, certain places on certain transportation like airplanes without that documentation. So since we're on the issue of tickets and such, not only, and this is for people that don't know, and if you do know, this is just a reminder that in certain countries, you do have to you have to apply for a visa and get approved. Now, I only could speak about Gambia. I know it was like $100 something dollars. No, I think it was even cheaper than that. They went up on their price, but it used to be like for a year. You had to go to the embassy. Like for Gambia, we went to New York to do it. You can do it, through the mail, that which require you to send in your passport so they can stamp it and such. You have to submit a photo, like a passport photo with that. Just like when you start the passport process, you got to bring all this documentation in. Your photo, you can get that at the AAA building. You can get it at any pharmacy that take passport photos. They have to be a certain size. And then for the Muslima, you do not have to take your hijab off. You do have to uncover your face. Like for me, my license, my driver's license, and my passport, my face is uncovered. But I didn't have to take anything else off. I didn't have to take my chemo off. I didn't have to, unveil that much. Just that my face had to be covered, because when they take the photo, they want to see all of this all around to your chin and such. And so you have to reveal your face for the sisters that may be listening that cover their face and wondering, how do you take a passport picture with your niqab on? You can't. But mashallah, Allah's most merciful. But with the visa, sometimes, and now I can only speak for certain countries, you can actually go there and get the visa in the airport. Now, I would not recommend that, because they could send you back home and say, hey, you can't come in here. So you want to have all your ducks in a row. You want to make sure your paperwork is legit before you go there. Sometimes if you go to certain countries on the continent, you have to take, vaccinations. Now, it's up to you. It depends on where you're going. Some places require you to take vaccinations, like I forgot what they require for in Gambia. It just slipped my mind. But you would want to have that paperwork with you and proof that you had that vaccination. Do anybody know if you need to have any sort of like right now we're in this pandemic? Like if you go traveling out of the country or into the country, whether you have to have the COVID test to enter or to leave, because I know in Gambia they quarantine you right now for 14 days. You can't even enter inside the country. Um, you know, be free until you are quarantined for 14 days. Does anybody else know if that is a requirement to come back here to the United States, despite where you're coming from? Is that the same coming in? Because I haven't heard anything in regards to that. But please let me know in the comments regarding that. So, got your visa, you got your passport, you got your ticket, you took care of things at home or what have you. Now you're on your way. So when you go overseas to Africa, like for myself, I went about 3 years ago. I went 3 years ago, first time leaving the country. And alhamdulillah, I've been on a plane before, but this was different, because it was a long flight and it was at night, so it wasn't so bad. I was asleep most of the time. And so, alhamdulillah, it was an experience. It was a good experience. I was with my daughter. Matter of fact, we were traveling. My oldest daughter, we were traveling together. So I had a partner, and we had fun going over there. And so when I touched down, before I even left out of the, and this is the answer of Hen, because she asked the question, how was my experience before the email was so rudely interrupting me and making fun of me. We was at the airport. We got to the airport in Banjul, and the plane that actually takes you to Gambia, it's like a smaller craft. So it's not as many people like a regular commercial airplane. And so those many people that were on the plane, I forgot how many people that it would be. Just say it was about 90 people who was on the plane. They had left some of our luggage. Some of our luggage did not make it with us. Oh my goodness. So we sitting there waiting for our luggage, and it's going around the carousel, going around and around. And it was a whole bunch of suitcases. So me and my daughter were just sitting there waiting for our suitcases. And the thing just going around and around. You see, it was a lot of suitcases. So we sitting there waiting. And then after a while, it started dwindling around. It was just like one. It was like a couple that was still sitting there. Same one just going around. We didn't see any other suitcases. So we were like, where is our suitcase? I think I got one. I think I got one of our suitcases, one or two. I think we bought like 4 altogether. So not only was our luggage not there, it was like a whole bunch of people. So it's like in the morning, like late. I think it was late at night, and we're like crowding around the employees of the airport. Like, where's our luggage? What are y'all gonna do? When is it coming? So they was trying to like write down everybody's name, and everybody shouting at the same time. It was just like, oh my goodness. So it was a gentleman there. He said, hey, I'll help you get your suitcase for you and stuff like that. And he didn't ask for any money or whatever, but I had I took on his offer because I'm like, I can't stay at this airport. I don't know when the next plane is going to come in or anything like that. So he said, well, let me give you my number. So my son-in-law took his number, and he was like, I'll let you know when your luggage will come. People were like furious. So that was like my first, it was like a crazy experience. It was the first of many. And so it took like a couple of days afterwards to get my luggage. Because, when you pack, you want to pack some goodies, some things that they may not be used to from over here. So like all my goodie stuff was like not with me. So I didn't have anything to give away at the time. And so, alhamdulillah, like I said, it was like a couple of days. So sometimes you may get those mishaps. Sometimes your luggage do get lost. You never recover it. I'm in a whole different country. There's no telling where my luggage went to finally, reach me. And so alhamdulillah, when I got my luggage, a couple of days later, brother gave me my luggage, and I gave him a little, change for it or whatever. And so it was crazy because I was expecting something worse. And when I say worse, like you, remember how you went the first time and they was like, give me some money or whatever. They was trying to they was trying to hustle you. You gotta be truthful. I ain't trying to, blow up nobody's spot, but they was trying to hustle you, Habibi. Remember when they was trying to hustle you about your stuff and your luggage? Tell us about that experience, that first time that it happened.
Well, one of the things that you got to understand when you're traveling in the United States, when you go through the airport, they got the secured area and the unsecured area. So, beyond a certain point, if you don't work there, you're a ticketed passenger. They got the same thing in most of these African countries, but ain't nobody paid attention to that. So, so don't think that because you're in the secured area, that everybody that you see that ain't a traveler worked there. That could be just little Abdul from the block trying to get some money, right? And you'll have people that will try to come and help you carry your luggage or what have you and stuff like that. And so they'll try to hustle you and all that kind of stuff. So when we came, this is Gambia now. When we came through, they asked you where you going. We didn't know the city or the part of the city where we was going, so we couldn't answer that right away. And the brothers that's supposed to meet us at the airport wasn't there. He might be watching now too. I'm snitching, Satima, right? Right. So, right. So, right. Anyway, so they pull me aside. They said, "Okay, your luggage is flag. Ain't no flag in my luggage, right?" They brought me to a side room, and it was like, "No, what do you have in here?" I'm like, "Clothes, right, right." And so, right, and so we going back and forth. Once they recognize, you don't speak the language, Gambia, if you don't speak Wolof or Mandinka, like, all right, right. So they put me inside, whatever, like that, and they was like, you need to pay him some money so he can release you. I was like, pay some money. I'm like, I'm acting stupid. Well, I ain't got no money, right? Plus, I don't never travel with like a lot of money anyway, so I ain't got no money. I ain't got no American money. I ain't got no Gambian money. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no cash on me, right? So it was like, man, we gonna have to keep you here for a minute, right? And then so we got tired of looking at each other for a minute, and then so he was going through my luggage, right? He don't work there now, but he passed me off to a guy that does work there, who's corrupt, whatever. And they corrupt that I mean, almost everybody's corrupt, but right? So he waiting for the big payoff, this American, whatever. And so he going through there and he sees some of my books that I've written. And I was like, yeah, I wrote that. And he's going through it. He's like, you Imam? I was like, yeah. So, oh. I said, I give that to you. That's my gift for you. Because they kept saying gift. In other words, bribe, right? Right? I said, that's my gift to you. He said, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. You can go. So I brought my way out of there, one of my books, right? Right? And then we go to the other cat now. He got our passports, right? We don't know where we're going. So we there, right? And so while all this is going on, the lights go out. So we there, the lights go out, lights come back on. Then by that time, the brothers who was supposed to pick us up, they had showed up, and he told them what needed to be, what needed to go on the paper, and then we left. Alhamdulillah. I can't hear you.
Now I was saying alhamdulillah. One of the things I wanted to point out, and this is like you said, it's a lot of people posting, making posts and podcasts and different videos about their experience going over to the African continent. And you have to realize people are people regardless where you go. It seems like this I don't know what people be like, not living in reality, and they feel like there's exceptions. It don't matter when you have bad people, when you have good people. It don't matter what religion they belong to, what race they belong to. It don't matter. You're going to find those people everywhere. So you have to keep that in mind. So that means that requires you to use your common sense. You lose that. Using your common sense will help you to stay out of trouble. If you don't know anything else, use your common sense. If something don't look right, sound right, you question it or leave it alone. You understand? So I hear people saying like, oh, they are like this way or that way, they're scammers or this, right, they're frauds and all that stuff. You find that here all over the place. You find that in your family. You find it's no place that is not going to be bereft of that. You understand? But you just got to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, like I've seen the videos where people saying, for example, I see a question, Issa, where some people like, because you got a lot of one of the amazing things to me is that a lot of people seem to be going to Gambia. Right, Gambia is the smallest country in Africa. And I say on the continent of Africa because you also have some countries that are island countries off the coast of Africa that's smaller than Gambia. But on the continent, the physical continent of Africa, Gambia is the smallest country. But a lot of people seem to be going to Gambia. And some of the people that went there said, the Gambians, they'll hustle me, they'll raise the price. And every time I hear that, what my mind goes to, Habibi, because we from New York. My mind goes to, okay, when some little girl or young girl or tourist gets off the bus at Port Authority or Grand Central Station in New York City, there's people coming to them hustling. That's Manhattan. That's everywhere, right? So, if you pay someone to do construction for you here in America, you give them all the money up front if you want and see if he come back to finish the job, right? This is America. And that's only black people. No, give the average white contractor all your money up front and see what type of work you get done, right? So people go to Africa and have the same experience and they think, oh man, these Africans, what it was like, subhanAllah, right? It's the same. It's the same will. It's the same mentality here. Like we go to a store and get treated like crap. They may follow us around the store, right? And that's acceptable. We go to the same type of store that's run by a black person, and the price is 5 cents more expensive, or they said the store open at 9 o'clock and they open at 9:05. See, that's why I don't mess with black people no more, man. We always gotta be niggas, man. See, that's why I like shopping over there where they follow me around the store. It's the same thing. So we from America, we ignore the fact that we got hustlers and scammers and people that fall short over here, and then we go over there, and then we get hustled or scammed or someone falls short over there. We all of a sudden we act like that don't happen in America, right? And so like you said, we piece of work. We funny. Oh, Issa said, "What is the short history of Gambia?" Gambia was in basically like a tug of war between the French and the British. Because you remember at the Berlin Conference, basically all the European powers got together, and look it up, Berlin Conference, Berlin as in Germany, the Berlin Conference, they got together, and I forgot what year, but 1800 sometime, I forget what year, but they got together and they decided to carve up Africa for what they wanted for, basically to kick off the colonial period. Because you have to remember that don't think none of this stuff is by accident. It's very systematic. And this, I think a lot of us miss this. They kicked off slavery after, the Muslims were expelled from Spain, 1492. Because before that, there was no such thing as Spain and Portugal. It was Andalus. So that's why you find the first almost in everything with slavery and all of this modern period is the Portuguese. The early colonizers of Africa, Portuguese. They was the first ones to kind of get their weight up. And they got their weight up off of the finances and the muscles that they took from the Muslims in Al Andalus. And so beginning from the fall of Spain, especially 100 years later, in I think 1591 or 1592, when the Portuguese, along with their Moroccan coons, sacked Timbuktu, right? Portuguese Kaffir, Moroccan Muslim, invading Timbuktu, who's also Muslim, coon, right? Right? And that's replicated all over the world in the colonial period. But in any case, they sacked them.
Let me stop you right there. I think you need to bring that point out because that's the narrative. They changed the narrative. A lot of African Pan-Africanists, rather, they like to say that Islam, Muslim forced Islam on the people by the sword. But actuality was the other way around, right?
Right. Yeah, like in that particular instance, when you hear the Pan-Africanists or the so-called Afrocentric talk about what I just alluded to, when Timbuktu, because it's one of the societies that the Afrocentrics like to claim and all that kind of stuff, which was a Muslim society, right? It's Songhai Empire, right? The Songhai Khilafah, right? When they will highlight the fact that there were Moroccan, Arab, Muslims that did this, but they will ignore the fact that they were part of the Portuguese army that was doing it. It doesn't exonerate the Moroccans, correct? But just in the same way that in the British army centuries later, you had a lot of Indian Muslims fighting Muslims. So I mean, in every situation, you're going to have coons, right? But in any case, all of these things, all of these situations weakened Africa and opened the door for the slave trade. So they began by extracting the human resources from Africa, basically, especially in the 15th and 16th century. Like they like to mark the year 1619, but we know it's before that, as we said earlier. So they've been extracting all of these human resources, bodies, out of Africa, Europe, Caribbean, America, all over the place. Then after a while, they say, you know what? Slavery's outlawed. Now it's time to kick off the colonial period. Now we're going to send our armies in there and our missionaries in there because we don't want no more bodies out of Africa. We want what's under the ground out of Africa. We want the mineral resources. We want all of these things. And so that's very systematic. Don't think it's just accident and all that kind of stuff. So going back to your question, Islam was established in Gambia way out. I forget the exact years, but it's like in the 11th century or maybe even earlier than that, right? And so Gambia, and when I say Gambia, I'm also including Senegal because Gambia and Senegal are modern nation states created by the British and the French. And so that area was the home to more than one of ancient Muslim empires. Because you have a lot of the Fulani there. I said you got the Mandinka, the Wolof, and they had their own kingdoms there at different times, right? So fast forward to the colonial period, the French took what was, and if while I'm talking, it'll be good if you can pull it up, not you, Samir, but anybody that's watching that really cares. If you pull up the map of West Africa and zoom in on Gambia, you see that Gambia is surrounded on three sides by Senegal. And on the fourth side is the Atlantic Ocean. So Gambia basically surrounds the immediate area around the Gambia River. And the Gambia River stretches, from the Atlantic Ocean inward. So that little area around it is Gambia. And outside of that, Senegal, right? So obviously Gambia and Senegal are Muslim entities, 96+% Muslim. And Gambia, by the way, when you go to these countries, when you look up these countries, and they say, for example, like in Gambia, the official language of the Gambia is English. Don't think everybody walking around there speaking English. That's just for the official. That's just to say, listen, we still good. We still recognize your colonial authority over us. You will find people speaking English that work in official positions or work out front or maybe work in the tourist areas and all of that. But the language that people really speak there is Mandinka and Wolof. Same thing with Senegal. The official language is French. The people speaking there, Wolof and Mandinka, right? That's what they speak in. I think somebody tagged Ali Uba. I think we're friends on Facebook.
Good book that I would like to recommend about the history, like in that area in West Africa that my husband and we read was the there's a whole bunch of books, but I'm talking about the latest one. And you correct me if I'm wrong, is the book by Dr. Eric Ware regarding the walking Quran. You know how it describes the history according to...
you mean Rudolph or Bilal?
Rudolph. I'm saying Eric Ware. Rudolph Ware. I'm sorry. Do you have that book? Excellent book. That right there, The Walking Quran. Yes, that brother right there, he's very well versed about history. He's one of the brothers that I commend for publishing a book like that. There's so many books, about our history in Africa, but that one, he uses sources that's not in English language. They're like in French. So he had to translate this stuff. And this is coming from the colonizers' mouth themselves. So he's piecing these things together and giving you a picture of what it was like years back. How they used to, how the Muslims was dead set against slavery, chattel slavery. They weren't with that. But then you had some coons, like you said. There was some that sold themselves out, even their own people, their own family. And he was just saying how, it was deep that people that learned the Quran, internalized the Quran, were sold. And people, the Muslims that during that time had no problem doing that. Like, subhanAllah. So
I always give an example when I talk about this, the slave period. People don't understand the monetary value that was connected to Black bodies. Like, I remember, I don't know if they did this in Brooklyn, Samira, but I remember in Queens, remember back when everybody used to wear Lees? Remember back during the Run DMC era? You know, the Lee jeans have like a leather patch on the back. I remember, I remember that at one point in time, one of the stores on Jamaica Avenue was giving, I think, shell top Adidas away. There was no, I don't think there was no Jordans out at the time. I think the sneakers was shell top Adidas. My memory is foggy, but I think there was, if you had came in with what I think 50 of those patches, they gave you a pair of shell top Adidas. So people was getting their Lee patches snatched, and plus Lee's was going out of style anyway. People started wearing Levi's and stuff like that. So there was there was uh, there was a value attached to something that previously was just part of pants. And I always give the same example: a kufi, right? A kufi you get for $5, and that's expensive for this type of kufi, right? Imagine, just imagine if some entity, some group of people, some business said, "Hey, listen, I'm giving $1,000 away for every kufi that you submit to me." First of all the kufis are going to get sold out real quick. People are going to try to rush to the stores to buy all the kufis before they raise the price on it, right? And then when you can't buy kufis no more, guess what? A lot of Muslims going to get knocked up upside their head to get their kufis so they can get that $1,000. And don't think it's going to stop there. Some Muslims is going to knock Muslims upside their head for that so they can get that $1,000 off of kufis. Now, if you can understand that with regards to material, the same thing happened with black bodies. And so not only you had non-Africans that was ready to participate in the trade of black bodies, but then you had the lighter Berber, European, Greek, Roman mixed North Africans participating in it. And then you had some black Africans participating in it because, you know, it was an offer that a lot of people couldn't refuse. And that's why many of the scholars of that time, like Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio and other scholars, had to literally write fatwas and include the prohibition on taking Muslim slaves in their books, because you had Muslims justifying selling other Muslims as slaves. And that's why these things are talked about in books like Dil Hukam and Bayan Wujubul Hijra and other books. So don't sleep on how people, you know, you see people sell their soul right now for a couple of likes. Imagine what people, how much of their soul people would sell if they were actually given a lot of money for it. So don't sleep on that, you know.
That's deep. That's reality. Like we mentioned earlier, don't romanticize this. Humans are humans. People are people everywhere. And the same thing as you had mentioned, touched on, you know, a lot, like for instance, in Gambia, when they hold their judicial ceremonies and stuff, they wear them white, ugly wigs. Ain't that what the white people back then used to wear? They still wear those things. Black people put the white wigs on their heads to hold court cases and things like that. It's like they hold on to that.
Exactly.
To that.
And you got to understand also, when, you know, Gambia isn't the only country that does that, but, you know, Gambia, they're still considered the Commonwealth, meaning they're still part of the British Crown, but with none of the benefits. You know, so all of the former British colonies, right? You know, you got Britain, you know, we know the United Kingdom, right? So, you got Scotland, you got Wales, you got, you know, Britain. And then under that, there's a whole bunch of other countries like Gambia, right? That are part of what they call the Commonwealth. And so a lot of, you know, they still, and sad to say, a lot of them cherish, not all of them, but a lot of them cherish that connection to their former colonial master. And it's it's reflected in some of their schools. It's definitely a reflected in all of their government institutions, like the court, like the judge. So, they'll go, as judges and put that wig on that the white men used to wear in Europe because they didn't have cures for syphilis and all that stuff, and their hair was falling out, their skin was looking all tore up. That's why they wore those wigs. And so that, they carry on their tradition.
Right. So with those traditions, some may feel offended when we say coons. Coons is another term for house Negroes. If you understand what a house Negro and how they represent it, that's what a coon is. It's just another term for it. And we have coons among our midst here in America, and you got coons over there. Okay, so if you pay attention, you know who is what and who's down for what. So my thing is, it don't matter if you got the same color as me. You're not just my brother or my sister just because we both black. I got to know what you stand for and what you represent, because that distinguish who we are and what we're about. Because you either putting holes in my boat or you roaring and helping us move forward. And that's even over there. You got to know what that person's about and what they represent, and you'll know if they're going to be there to assist you and be there like the Sahaba was when they came to Medina. You had the Muhajirun, right? And then you have the Ansars, right? And so Allah's messengers, like Wasallam, had the Ansars, pair up with the Muhajirun. So when you're making this trip over there, you're the Muhajirun. When you get over there, there should be an Ansar waiting for you to assist you and welcome you. And one thing I could say, they are hospitable over there. Okay, so it's not always the negative. We want to point that out. We just want you to realize that everything is not black and white. Everybody is not, because you're in a country that has 99% Muslim, that they're going to be perfect and everybody's on the deen. And no, you're not going to have that. You're going to have every strife that you have here. Unfortunately, they just know how to hide it better than we do. We all out with it, right? So when you go over there, it's helpful to have someone over there to assist you and have that network. And they are hospitable. That's just their culture. And that's one thing that I love about it. They'll feed you. They may not even have enough to feed themselves and their family, but they're going to feed you. They're going to house you. They're going to welcome you like your family. We don't get that here in the United States. When the last time you went somewhere and somebody welcomed you to their house, or they say, well, I'm going to bring you some home cooked meals so that you can feel at home. We don't even get that here. We're very harsh. It's a totally different type of atmosphere.
That's our parents and grandparents' generation down south. We lost that.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I haven't been to too many African countries, but the few African countries that I've been to, extremely hospitable. Sudan, same thing. They are known for being hospitable, and I got a whole bunch of hospitable stories, but not here. So, alhamdulillah.
So when you go over there, like I said, you got to do your research, and when you go there, you'll see how the people are. One thing that I've learned going over there, and this is my experience, and I've learned, you got to bring somebody that's from there when you go shopping. Don't ever go shopping by yourself as American. Don't ever do that. Because when they hear that accent, oh man, they're going to get you. Like, say something there might cost like $100 Cs. $100 Cs compared to US dollars is like, their dollars is like 48 cents to our dollar. So it's very, very low. It's like half of our dollar. Like it has value, right? What? No, what?
No, you said half. No, it's way
less than that.
Yeah, like let me do the conversion.
Oh, it got that bad. I'm talking about from when. Oh, wow. Okay. But their dollar value is way less than us, mashallah. So You go up in the store, you trying to buy something, and they hear your voice, they're gonna get you. So something that may cost 50 cents, I'm just talking about US dollars, they're gonna charge you $5 for that same thing. But if you come with a local, they bargain with them. And they'll be like, listen, that it don't cost that much. You got to be quiet. Somehow you got to signal to what you want while you in the store. And I'm talking about anything. Like if you want to get garments, anything, you want to be quiet. You don't want to talk too much. You don't want them to lead the person on that you're not from there, because they think you being from the Americas equals dollars. We're not rich. A lot of us are not rich. So we going over there. We try to count every coin that we spend. So they'll equate that. I remember I was taking a taxi, and it was a Muslim brother. The ride would have cost like for a five. I'm just making up because I want to exaggerate because it costs that much. Like taking a car ride. Imagine an Uber. That car ride out there for 5 miles would have been like $2. You could spend $10 easy with an Uber or more, right? And so he heard my voice. He said, this ride is $10. And he went and made the salat and everything, and he would not leave until we gave him his money. And I'm sitting here like, aren't we Muslims? SubhanAllah, like, what? And that just reminded me, people are people. I don't care what walk of life you come from. And he was Muslim. SubhanAllah.
One of our dollars is, like you said, 50 of their dollars. And just to give people, like, services are way cheap out there. Like you just gave an example for a taxi ride. A haircut is like $35. So you figure a regular haircut without tipping and all of that is less than $1.
And you ain't going to no barber shop and get no haircut here in America for no less than $1. You're gonna spend at least $30, $40 for something decent, right? Halfway decent. SubhanAllah. But yeah, so these are things these are experiences, and don't let it like warp your thinking and how you think, how you see people. People are who they are, but the experience that you get just being around people that looks like you, like a place that all you see is black people, it's something to like experience, and it's just something to be like, wow. And you see people there, you see a likeness of someone here in America over there. You be like, oh, they look like my cousin such and such. Like you see your family over there. And it's amazing. You got a doppelganger, right? Over there.
Yeah, man. Every time I hear, one of these people talk about, I ain't African, I don't, I'm something else, right? I'm like, man, come on, man. Every country that I've been to, right? Every country, no matter what tribe is there. I done seen my uncle, my cousin, my grandma, your uncle, your cousin, your grandma several times. And I remember I made a stat about this on Facebook. And all of the African Americans that I know that have been to Africa, different countries that I haven't been to, said the same thing. Right? So
but alhamdulillah. One thing, and not like I said, it's not for everybody to go over there. Wherever you decide to go to, have your mind, have an entrepreneurial type of thinking when you go over there, and look how you can help those over there, because a lot of them are poor. The country is poor, despite all these loans that they take from the EAU and all these, we won't go there, but you just don't know how much opportunity how many opportunities there are for you over there. And you don't have to stay there to make it happen. You could still come back and forth, have your home in both places. just so you can get away sometimes, because you have to get away. Living here in America, it's oppressive. It's not natural. People are having health issues out the wazoo. When I went there, I walked a lot. Okay. I don't walk when I'm here. I jump in my ride and I'm gone. I don't walk like I should. There, you walk in, which means that you're a healthier. You eat more healthy there, because they don't hardly have processed foods. One thing though that is slowly changing, which I hope it doesn't change too much. They're looking for processed foods to come there. Like, they look at the products that we have in the West, and they want to enjoy that, like that's something good, and it's actually hurting us, and they don't understand that, because it seems like that's some kind of luxury to have. I can't do
A
it.
lot of them, they think like us. I mean, like a lot of us think we need the name brand stuff. We need to eat at this restaurant. We need to eat at that place, whatever like that. They think the same way. Not all of them, but just like not all of us think the same way. But right, but a lot of them think that okay, I need this Western food. I mean, just about everything grows in Africa, but some of them want the imported stuff. Right? You can grow rice in Africa. Why are you importing rice from China? Right? I remember when I first went to Gambia, they took us out to eat. They took us. You said you went to the same place where you went, Fast Ali's, right? I forgot what is that, Sarakunda, Banju. I forgot where it was at, Westfield. I forgot, but went there. And they got burgers, fish and shit. I'm like, I don't want this stuff, man. I want to enjoy it. I can get this all the time. And y'all not going to do it right the way we do it back here. So I went with you.
What about the egg on the burger?
Oh, Sudan. Being when I went to Sudan, subhanAllah, at one time, everybody that I came with, we all, we was addicted. This is the food that we got here. We sleep. We think the drugs is only like the illegal drugs that you could go to jail for. The drugs is in the food. This stuff is addictive. That's why a lot of us can't kick sugar. It's done by design, right? So this stuff gets addictive, right? So I remember we was in Sudan and we start feeding it for like cheeseburgers and stuff, right? Gotta get a cheeseburger, right? We'll feed it, right? And so I remember we went to one place, and Sudan is Arabic, the main language is Arabic. So we're thinking like burger, all right? Yeah, burger, right? So right, we done had their burgers before. They put an egg on it, so I'm thinking I'm being slick, right? So I tell a brother this one particular time, I said, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I said, Uridu burger bila bayda. I want the burger without the egg, right? 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 Without the egg white, yeah. And so he said, Bila Bayda? I said, yeah, Bila Bayda. Right? So he said, okay, Bila Bayda. He wait and go make the burger, right? So I'm waiting. Yeah. He bring out this thing. It wasn't ground beef. I don't even think it was ground. It was like reddish looking. I was like, man, I think I almost cursed. I was like, man, damn, man, can't get a burger, man. Why you keep trying to imitate the Kufa? I won't do it right. Right? I was mad. I didn't even eat it. I was like, oh, man. So sometimes that happens. That happened to me a couple of times the first time I went to Gambia. We had a layover in Morocco. They have McDonald's in Morocco. I like McDonald's. I haven't had a Big Mac quarter pounder since I was Muslim. I mean, that's going on 30 years. Yes. I went there. I didn't change all that money. So I like, man, this stuff kind of expensive here, right? I'm not good with money conversion. So I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. All right. I forgot what I tried to order. I think it was a Big Mac or something. I forgot what it was. Anyway, I was disappointed. I was like, you know what? I ain't going to try it no more. It's just over with. It's not going to happen.
No, but yeah, so alhamdulillah for the hospitality. You got a network. Like, You have to network, and you got to trust who you network with. You just can't be just anything, just be out there just doing your own thing. And you got to have a focus and a plan, because people see you a mile away, just like a tourist in New York. You looking around with your map, people like, easy target. That's the ones that get ripped off and robbed, because you looking like you're not from there. You act like you from that place. But alhamdulillah, it's what you make it. It's so many opportunities. Then they have the natural resources there that you could take advantage of. And I'm not talking about take advantage of like stealing it like the Kufar does, and use it for their own benefit, and the country that they get it from have no, they don't get no residual income from that. They just take and take and take, right? Go over there and start a business, or teach someone, or learn from them certain things and skills that you may not have here. And and do something with that. Build the economy there, build the economy here. Like I said, you don't have to be in Africa all the time. You come here too, and you make you network, and you build a business that is global. There'll be a global business, because it ain't just here and it ain't just over there. So you got to think outside the box, but you got to be around those that think the same way as you do. If you just content on doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results, you're a fool. It's going to be the same thing. So this opportunity here, for a lot of us. And like I said, it's not for everybody. I keep saying that because I find people go over there, like Gambia. I'm just going by Gambia because that's where I went to. If you are a non-Muslim, going to a country, you got to respect the culture and the people. You have to, because you're in their domain. Don't be like the colonizer, when they came and took us and brought us over here, and they dominated us. They stopped us from speaking our language. They, tried to stomp our deen from us, but they didn't. They weren't successful, as we could see a lot of proof of that. Don't be the same way when you go over there, trying to stop people from speaking their language, stop practicing their religion, because we're just an opposite, just a different color doing it. You acting like a white supremacist when you do that. Respect the culture. If you don't agree with it, oh well. I don't agree with everything here in America and what people do. All I say is don't try to beat it down my door and first force me to agree with it. I respect your decision. That's you. I don't have to think that way, and I don't have to practice that. And I think everybody should have that right. That's what Islam teaches. There's no compulsion in religion. You can't force somebody to be Muslim. You don't, you got to be Muslim or no, it's not like that. So when you go to those countries that has Muslims, respect their culture. They pray 5 times a day. They have Juma just like a Muslim. If you knew that, then you wouldn't go over there talking trash about they pray 5 times a day. Like, that's offensive. That's their part. That's the way of life. That's supposed to be a way of life for any Muslim, regardless of where they live on the planet. But as a non-Muslim, how dare you complain about people's cultures that is a part of them and part of their living? You have a better relationship between the Muslims and Christians on the continent than you have here. It seems like it has to be like separate. You have Muslims like, I only deal with Muslims. And you have Christians, I only deal with Christians. Over there, they intermingle their family, and you can't even tell a Muslim from a Christian. That's how their culture is. It's like intermingled together. So they look at themselves, they are a community. And that works for them because that keeps the homogeneity going. You understand? It's no, you believe in that or not believe this, we can't be friends or we can't work together. I don't know where we get this twisted mindset, regarding, living amongst each other. Islam, when the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Medina, when he made that hijrah to Medina, there wasn't just Muslims there. There was Jews there. There was Christians. There was other people there. He didn't say, y'all got to get out, the Muslims here. They lived together. They had an agreement on how they're going to live together. And then it was cool. Of course, you're going to have people that, rebelled and things like that. You're going to have that in society. But for the most part, they live together. They respected each other's religion and such. That's how you got to be if you're a non-Muslim going over there, and even as a Muslim going over there, not looking at them like, well, y'all supposed to be Muslim. Y'all not doing what y'all supposed to do. Because a lot of women do not cover, like cover. They have their own traditions of dressing over there. You understand? And so some of them keep to that way. I don't know what the thinking behind it or what have you, but that doesn't excuse you to cover. You're supposed to cover because the law commands you to cover in the book. So that's not an excuse. And this is no judgment. I'm just saying what I observe. A lot of women, they wear the African print and they'll have the shoulders out, short sleeves, different things, going on. So it's interesting that they're Muslim and they'll, go to Juma or they'll pray and things like that, but they still, hold on to that type of dressing. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting. I just, observe that and what have you. You got something to say, Habibi?
Alhamdulillah. No, that was an excellent point that you made with regards to, non-Muslims. Because I think, was it our show that we talked about it? Where because we mentioned that a lot of non-Muslims are going back to Africa. And I don't think a lot of them realize or appreciate how much of Africa is Muslim. And so they have these ideas in their head that they learn because, alhamdulillah, Imam Amin checked in, he always going hard on the Wahhabis, right? Not we, but, all of us, but, I fall in line behind his leadership on that, right? And, a lot of people, especially in these latter years, they see Muslim as it is expressed by the Wahhabis. And that type of expression. And so that's anti-African, anti-black. You got to leave your blackness. You can't be Muslim and be black at the same time. Or if you are black, you better not be black. I'm Muslim and Islam is my ethnicity. Islam is my race, right? And a lot of us, since adopting that false methodology, have turned our backs on our black communities. And we act like we ain't black. And our masters aren't engaged in the communities anymore. And so a lot of people see that and they look at Muslims like traitors. And so they don't see Islam in Africa. Yeah, you under the bus, man. I'm under there with you too. No, you're the Wahhabi slayer. That's all. We all recognize that, man. Wear your crown with pride. I'll hold your robe up. No, so that's from one respect. On top of the fact that a lot of people that from America that are going back to Africa, they hold in high regard a lot of African American scholars who basically took a dump on Islam. They said, Islam destroyed Africa, and they downplay the European slave trade and upgrade the Arab slave trade. And they basically, that Islam enslaved the Africans. I mean, they just completely, they don't care nothing about Muslims. So a lot of them are going back to Africa with this anti-Islamic bent, right? And they don't realize, or they don't really appreciate, and I don't know how you can miss it. If you pull up the stats, you go to the Department of State website and you look up any country, they'll tell you 90-something% Muslim. They'll tell you, like Gambia, 96% Muslim, right? And so you get there, you go to you choose a Muslim country, right? That's 96% Muslim. Masjids all over the place. In the same way you got churches every corner in the hood, it's the same way in Gambia. Masjids every corner, everywhere. Not just big jammy masjids. There's masjids with no label on it. You just happen to walk by during Dhuhr time, you think it's a storefront. They praying in there. It's a masjid, right? So there's Muslims everywhere. And you go to a country like that, hating Muslims. and you think that everybody else, oh man, all of y'all brainwashed. You don't know how Islam destroyed y'all? We here from America. We here to come liberate you, right? A lot of them actually think like this. Right? They actually think like they think they going to teach them something that they don't know about religion. So I think it's good that you mentioned that. Alhamdulillah. Our brother Zachariah, he said, how much would it cost to buy or build a house in the Gambia? And that question is extremely hard to answer because prices, you got to understand, I'm sure you know that it ain't like here when you walk into a store and you know what you expect to pay. Everything's negotiable. And so with Gambia, just like any other country, the more you move away from the tourist areas, the price is going to go down. And the more you get away from the middlemen, because in Gambia you got the official government, but then you got also tribal chiefs who got rights to some of those lands. And so it ain't like here when you buy a house where you know everything is spelled out. Okay, if you're dealing with the person directly, then you know you'll have a contract. Or you're dealing with a real estate broker, and you know there's a title search, and you know make sure that nobody has any rights or liens against the property. They have that there, but it ain't nothing like here, right? So you may buy a land from someone, you may get some documents drawn up, and then somebody be like, "Yo, that's my property. I brought that." And so that's a big problem in Gambia for Gambians. Now, imagine us coming, right? So you have to do your due diligence. But just to give you a general, you can, depending on where, and depending on how little or how much you get robbed, right? You can build the equivalent of a small mansion here, depending on a whole lot of different factors, 40, 50, $100,000. They say 40, 50, 100. That's a big variance. Yeah, because you can build it the way you want to build it. Do you want everything one story? You want two stories? You want a swimming pool? You want 20 by 40? You want 30 by, it depends on how big your property is, all the amenities you want and all that kind of stuff. So it all depends. So it's hard to answer that question with any kind of exact number.
Exactly. I wanted to add to that. In building a house, just like here, you deal with a contractor. And so there may be different people, they build their houses differently from here. They don't use, they don't lay down the foundation. I'm not a contractor. I'm just going by what I see. They don't put up the framing, it's not that. They use bricks. And they use they make up their own brick. They make their bricks and they make the cement or the what you call that stuff, man? The mortar, yeah, the mortar themselves. Like they actually make those, and you have somebody to make that for you, and you have to make sure that they're made correctly because that stuff will disintegrate. So there's like a process. I've heard like it's got to bake a certain amount of time in the sun, then you wet it, and then you let it bake. So there's like it's a long process. So when you build them from the ground up, they don't use carpet like we do. It's mostly tiling, like we put in our bathrooms and our kitchens. That's the floor, and that's actually the floor on the outside of the house. That's you don't can't imagine that like where you live now. You have concrete sidewalks, and it's tile. It's actually tile.
Can you imagine having our small little houses like we have in America? And every floor surface is ceramic tile, including your driveway. Can you imagine that? That'll be more than the price of the house.
So you got to deal with the people. You got to network. You got to know who to deal with because there are going to be some scammers. They see you trying to build a house. This person may have this price, was doing something like bringing you sand. This person may come with their people to do the labor. And like you was mentioning, like you don't give people money up front. You never go to a job and get your money up front. You work and then you get your pay right at the end of the day or end of the week or what have you. So you got to do that system, but you got to keep in your mind that you may not have them same people next week to help you. So you got to map everything out and prioritize what you want to do first. Now, a compound is basically is your residential dwelling. You can have like a house here, and if you want to be fancy, you have a courtyard in the middle. So when you build your house, you have an open space in the middle, and then your house can be expanded on the outside of it. So if you have women in your family that are that are Muslim, that will be their area because they can't show themselves. That'll be a private area, but yet they'll still be outside. So you can build it however you like. So the money will depends on how sophisticated that you make it. A lot of compounds there have like a area for a gatekeeper, like someone that guards the area. They have a living quarters on the property. Then you might have a guest house on the same property. So like us in America, it's like everything is all in one, all under one roof. Sometimes you may have a guest house extended if you fancy like that. But there you can have it laid out, and this can be on acres and acres and acres and acres of land. And then the key to that, I recommend, is to have a garden, to farm. And I'm not talking about no little garden. You farm your own food on your property or buy property where you can grow your own food. And if you really want to get fancy, you have your own farm. So you're able to slaughter and eat halal, have halal meats and things like that. That's if you're thinking long term other than just where you want to live, because you have to sustain yourself. This is the system, the what's the word name?
And say it with me now.
I can't get the F out. Tongue-tied.
And say it with me now. Come on.
You know what? The infrastructure, I can't get it out. The infrastructure is not set up like us. Like you have the water company, you have the gas company, you got the electricity, the electricity there set up. It's like you got to start everything from scratch, especially with the water. You have to build, dig wells. You got to dig into the ground. If you want water, if you don't want to tap in with the water company there, you dig your own wells in different parts of the compound. With the lights, certain areas, it's not reliable. They go out. Sometimes people get lights at nighttime, like in the middle of the night, or water in the middle of the night. Sometimes the water doesn't run through the main water source. Like we just turn on a faucet and the water runs through. Sometimes you don't have that luxury. But even here, the people can just cut it off. The system, the one that's in control can cut the lights off, cut the gas, cut the water off. You will have nothing. But at least if you have everything concentrated on your compound, you don't have to worry about those things happening. You have a generator. You have solar panels. There's things to make up for to be self-sustaining, which you can do here. You can have solar panels on your roof if you own your home. It's just so many things that we have to unplug because we're so dependent on this system that if everything were to cut off, some of us are going to go mad. They're not going to know what to do. And so when you go over to Africa, you appreciate a whole lot of things that we have here. But at the same time, you learn how to rough it out. So when things do get tough, and it will get tough, we ain't always going to be living in lap of luxury. If you consider this lap of luxury here in America, you got to learn how to rough it out because it's going to get tough. You understand? So building a house, you got, like you was mentioning, the land. You got to make sure the land that you're buying is legit and it isn't owned by anyone. I remember I had a scheme like that here in America. I went to go rent a place, and the people broke in the place and was showing the place as if it was owned by them. They didn't even own the place. They got the place, opened it up, and had a showing, had an ad in the paper saying, hey, there's a place open. It was so elaborate. This is here in America, okay? So, like we said, it don't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. People are people. Scammers are scammers. Muslim or not, black or white, they're all over the place. You have to use your common sense. I learned from that. I learned from that experience, mashallah. Go ahead, brother Iman.
We just hit the 2-hour mark.
Alhamdulillah.
You finished with your khutbah?
Oh, you ain't done. Oh, you cutting up this. You cutting up this show. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's showing the real help. Oh, I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna have your back. I'm gonna have your back. I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna protect your honor because I could say something right there, but I ain't. Because I love you so much.
Oh, I can say some stuff too now.
I love you so much. Well, I bless you and protect you.
I mean. And likewise for you, Habibi. Alhamdulillah. Like we said more than once, we didn't want to stuff everything into this one show. This topic we want to make sort of like a reoccurring theme, and we want to focus and highlight different aspects of repatriating back to Africa or visiting Africa. And you always got the one person that's going to come be like, oh, I ain't going back to Africa. Well, don't watch. We ain't talking to you, right? It's always the one person that come on the stat and be like, well, I ain't doing that. All right, well, keep going then. We ain't trying to convince you. We not the, repatriate to Africa committee, no. The one who think like that, we not talking to you. And me, for myself, most people, when they talk about this subject, they're like, either I got to be here or I got to be there. I don't think like that. I don't think it has to be either or. But some people in their mind, it got to be either or. I'm either going to be here in America or I'm going back to Africa. Right? And I don't know why people think like that. I mean, no one else thinks like that. Even Africans don't think like that. Most of them are over here for monetary reasons. And most of them, they have property here, and they have property over there. Right? I don't understand why it's wrong for us to think like that. Some of us have more incentive to go than others. Some of us maybe can't go, but maybe want to send their children over to protect them from something over here. There's a lot of it. I don't think it has to be either or. Either I just pack up my whole family and just go and never come back, or just forget Africa. I don't want to think about no Africa, just America. Nobody really thinks like that except us. And so I don't think it has to be either or. That's not my position. So I don't want anyone to think that our position is that everybody should get up and go to Africa or everybody should stay here. That's neither one of those are our positions. And frankly, as we said before, I hope some of you never go to Africa. Stay right here. Don't go. Some of y'all that's there now, oh my God. We should have never gave you a passport. SubhanAllah. Right? So, mashallah. Sophia said yes, because I've been looking at property in Ghana and Gambia. I do know that, it's more, the cost of living is more high in Ghana than it is in Gambia. And you have to understand, especially those countries like Gambia, the cost of living is so low that comes at a price. Infrastructure is not there like you're used to. And like I said earlier in the broadcast, what helps me really understand and contextualize Africa in general, just think of the hood. Africa's a big hood. That's the way I look at it. If you understand how the hood works, and when I say hood, I don't mean just everything negative. I mean just the hood in general. The hood is an area where, for our context, Black people live predominantly, but it's controlled by outside forces. who don't necessarily care about them. And so some areas in the hood, some particular blocks are real nice. No shooting, no nothing, whatever. Some hoods on the blocks like the Wild Wild West. It's like open drug markets in the hood. Exact same way over there. A lot of nice places in the hood. You forget you in the hood. Some other places, stay away from it. And a lot of times in the African continent, those places you want to stay away from is those tourist areas. The major cities, the tourist areas, and all that kind of stuff. So again, I don't want anybody to think that we advocating that everybody just pack up and leave and go to Africa, because if that was the case, we wouldn't be broadcasting right now from America. You know, we'd be in Gambia if that was the case, right? You know, we're not like some people. I know I'm not going to get specific, but almost every time I see this brother post, he cursing out people who still live in America, ain't went to Africa yet. And then somebody always asks him, "Where you at? You in Africa?" "No, I'm still here." Man, he'll almost curse you out. He'll come on your page and curse you out if he think you ain't trying to get out of America. And where he posted from? America. Right? We ain't one of those people. Like we said, you know, some people need to be here. I think we need to look at it. I really kind of think we need to look at it similar, not in all aspects, but similar to the first hijrah in Islam, the hijrah to Africa, the hijrah to Abyssinia. Some people need to go to protect them and their deen. Some of us ain't making it here. Some of us, it's kind of like when, you know, some of us come home from prison. We were good Muslims in prison. Why? Because prison is like the military. It has a schedule. It's restrictive. You know, you got programs. You go here at a certain time. You lock in at a certain time. You do this, you do that. And so, okay, I'm cool. You come out, you free now. You got more control of your own movements. And a lot of people, they can't take that. And they fall off. And in a lot of cases, it's the same way. A lot of us can't make it here in America. It's too much temptation. You know, it's too many negatives that we aren't successful of navigating around. And we need to go to a place where we can hear the adhan call 5 times a day. We need to go to that type of place. We need to go to type of place where, you know, where we're not able to extract good conduct and manners and common decency from the Quran and the Sunnah. We need to see it where it's part of the culture to respect your mother, to respect your father, to respect the elders. And so some of us seeing it in a hadith ain't good enough. It has to be forced upon us by the culture and the general society. So some of us need to go. Malik said, off top, but I remember telling a West African sister at a restaurant that I had been to Egypt and she said, "Why you go to white Africa? You need to go to black Africa." Yeah, I guess there's a racial divide among, no matter how we try to deny it. There's racial divide, tribal divides, it's all over the place. And like I mentioned earlier, I've been through the Egyptian airport. They treat Africans like trash. Moroccan too. Morocco, they treat Africans like trash. And on many occasions, the only thing that saved me from the trash treatment was that blue American passport. A lot of people, Muslims, you know, they respect and they honor the white man, the white supremacist, America, more than they respect and they honor La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That's just the bottom line. You know, I will get respect because I have American passport, but there'll be a bona fide sheikh, a scholar, an alim, a wali of Allah getting treated like trash in the airport. But I get treated with honor because I got the American passport, though. So alhamdulillah, 2 hours and 10 minutes. So alhamdulillah, we want to we want this topic to be a reoccurring topic because we got some things going on in Gambia, and we trying to do some things, and I think it can benefit us here as well as a lot of our brothers and sisters back on the continent, and it needs to happen. It needs to happen. And just for the record, when we start making these things known, no, I don't think we should bring everybody over there, for example. Like, bring a whole bunch of American kids over to one place in one time. No, they just gonna bring the hood with them. We don't need that. We do not need that. No. I definitely seen Black Africans in Egypt in the street reciting Quran for money. It blew my mind. Even seen the Black Africans in Saudi begging. Yeah. And it's, but they're begging in their own countries. They don't even have to go to those other countries to beg. A lot of them are begging in their own countries. But the part that angers me is they get treated like trash by the Muslims from Egypt, from Morocco, from these other countries, from Saudi. And a lot of times, a lot of us African Americans, we are in awe of them, and we got this almost worship-like respect for them, and they don't care nothing about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. The Muslim is sacred. Kulu Muslim ala Muslim haram, damahu wa malahu wa irdu. Everything from one Muslim to another is sacred. His blood and his property and his honor. And that statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam means nothing to them. They don't care about your La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Get over there in the corner with the rest of the trash. The thing about us is a lot of us, we won't tolerate being treated like trash, right? So, I think that's one good thing about us. A lot of the Africans will tolerate it. A lot of us will go back in the Jahiliyyah back. Like, nigga, who you talking to? Like, what? Oh, you speak English? Yeah, I speak English. Negro English. Say it again, right? Don't know a little Arabic, and you catch them calling you Abbott, right? Zinji, right? Don't know a little bit of Arabic. Like, what? Say that again? What you say? Huh? Yo, to call him a look at the Arabian? Shut up, man. I know what you heard what you said, man. Like, it's bad. A lot of us in La La Land. I know some people that know Arabic fluently, very well. And they play dumb, like they don't know no Arabic. And the racism is so bad that, like, a lot of times, like, for example, I know one person, he was trying to conduct some business with some Arabs. And the people didn't know what he looked like. He's an African American. So he brought an Arab brother, that's his friend, with him to basically represent him and do all the talking as if he was the main dude. And the African American, the one that's running everything, he's like the assistant, just quiet, right? He speaks Arabic himself. He don't need the Arab person, but he just got this Arab with him just so for the purposes of expediency to get the business done. And a lot of us, we have to sometimes, in order to get things done, you might have to do that. If you're just trying to get the thing done, you're not trying to make a moral stand or anything. You're trying to get something done. Even though you could do it yourself, you can remove a lot of red tape by thinking like that. Like, well, I don't need him. I know Arabic. But he don't care that you know Arabic. You still a nigga to him. You might want to have this Arab do the talking for you. So, alhamdulillah, 2 hours and 14 minutes. I'm done, Habibi. You can close out. No, don't have me take a poll who been doing the most talking here.
Listen, you going on punishment in a minute, but mashallah. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight with us. Mashallah, it's a pleasure, and we always appreciate you participating, in the comments and what have you. I hope that it's been beneficial as far as information that you've heard here, get you to think differently, consider certain things, just so that we can, be aware of certain things, so that if we embark on any new journeys, and you wanting to go over there, anywhere, you just know that you got to make some preparations, in the meantime. But I'm going to thank you. Inshallah, we're going to be back next Thursday at 7:30 EST with another topic. We haven't decided. Maybe the imam will put a poll up and such regarding our next show.
This is a
But we
poll right
definitely
now.
want to
What
revisit
if
it.
you want have any suggestions or would like us to talk about something? Put it in the thread. Maybe we will do it, and or
Okay.
maybe we won't, or maybe we won't do it next week. We'll do it another week. But just we definitely value your suggestions. So put it in the comments on this
Yeah.
video, inshallah, for next week. As of right now, we don't have another topic that we want to do next week. So we're going to be seeing what you type here, inshallah.
Inshallah. So with that being said, I thank everyone. I ask you Allah to keep us in your du'as, mashallah, and we'll keep you in ours as well. Make dua for those that are sick right now, those who are having a hard time. Be a little kinder, be a more empathetic, be a little more considerate and less selfish, inshallah, as we, go through life. Life is already hard. The life is what we make it, like the song says. So let's make it a little, better, a little happier, if that's possible. Not just for yourself, but for your children. We have children here. They're living in a time when I was a child, I was able to be a child, but children now, they don't have that opportunity. They're cooped up in the house, cooped up in the school. It's all types of mess going on. So be a little kinder, be a little more considerate because we all going through it. Okay. But with that being said, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wal asra innal insana lafi khusra illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Take care of yourself, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. May y'all have a blessed Juma, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.